Welcome back to Podcast Recovery, everyone. We're your hosts, David O.
Carly S.
And Eric B. Damn, I fucked that up. Sorry.
Really
I peaked. I was too hyped, man. I was really excited about it, you know.
And today we are joined with our very special guest, Howard. How you doing, man?
Doing well. How you doing?
Not as good as you coming back from Cancun, dude.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you had a very big smile on your face today.
Very relaxing. Thank you.
That's just Howard in general.
Pretty
right?
much.
Like he could be coming back from a blizzard and he's still going to be smiling.
Oh, it was refreshing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think blizzards are refreshing, you know? It's like it's a nice hit of cold air to the face.
That's
you
true.
know?
When were you where are you from?
I was born in Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I was born in Baltimore. I lived in Pikesville.
Yeah.
Born and raised, and then traveled here and there, and I'm actually currently living right now in Hampstead, Maryland.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Hampstead's beautiful.
And when were you first introduced to recovery?
Ooh, actually, I was 16 years old. A friend of mine got busted by his parents, and they had a relative that went to a 12-step fellowship.
Yeah.
And he actually, when I went to go see him, this is someone that I used to be with ever since I've been 5 years old. Not since 5 years old, but friends with since I was 5 years old. And that's where he introduced me. But I wasn't ready. He was just showing me his life.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's good for him.
Yeah.
And I was just like, all right, I guess should I tell the whole story, or what do you want me to do? Or
No, I'm just for the introduction.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I was introduced to it, but I wasn't ready yet.
Yeah.
But I became ready a few years later. That was good for him, but I wasn't ready because I compared myself out. But it was like my very first meeting per se. It was very small.
Yeah.
That's where they had all the readings on one piece of paper and they would pass it around the room.
Whoa.
Yeah, not like now where everything's separated out. And it was kind of interesting, but he was so funny. He was like, "Now listen, we hug here. We're weird or anything." I'm like, "All right, I'm cool with that."
That we're
weird. That was just
we're not weird.
I mean, we were 16 at the time, so
Yeah.
and but I remember that I just found it very interesting. But my first impression was pretty cool. But I was like, "That's good for him."
Yeah.
So that's where it was.
And so, how much clean time? What's your clean day?
My clean day is February 23rd, 1987.
Which is unbelievable.
Thanks.
I think that's the most. I think you're the winner.
Oh, yeah?
So far, I think you have
I
the
don't know.
most clean time.
I'm not. I feel like we've had an AA here that was like 79 or something.
I think I remember saying that in the past in the previous podcast some years ago.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I think we had one person from the 70s.
You're up there. You're definitely top 5.
You're definitely in the top. For the 30. Like, I mean, because this is like, how many years is that?
That's 37.
Yeah.
I know because I was born in '87.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, David's. Yeah, you can really relate to.
I know
it,
this
like
math.
his.
I can do this math. All right.
And I was 19 at the time when I came in.
Nice.
That was one of my questions I was going to ask.
Yeah.
So 19. Okay.
Yeah.
So with all that out of the way, turn it over to you. Share your story with us. Take it away.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. So, my story started back, I was like, I'm going to say 5 years old. And the reason why I say 5 years old.
So 56, you were born in
1968.
1968. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, good
That was
year.
tough math. Not great at math.
It's okay. I kind of know it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was like I was 5 years old. And in my family, they believe in saving face. And, and they don't want to be talked about, and that's the way it was, And where I grew up, and it came to family and neighborhood, you don't want to be talked about. So it was okay for the children to be drinking.
Oh.
Yeah. It's okay to, at the local, the gatherings, have a sip here, a sip there. In my family.
It was 70s.
Yeah, it's right. Okay. It wasn't, it's like.
It's a little bit of wine.
Oh, yeah. A little bit of wine or a little bit of beer or shots of whiskey because they had like a lot of them at tables at religious events, whatever.
Yeah.
You just grab a shot, it's done. And like the kids, we were like, hey, let's do it because the adults are doing it. Let's get one more.
They just had shots of whiskey sitting around?
Yes.
That's times were different.
Yes,
apparently.
very much so. Very much so. Okay. No, I mean that's the way it was there. Actually, that was more like at religious events.
Yeah.
Okay.
And but that's the way it was, and it was always going for that one more. And for me to have beer in one of my drawers instead of having underwear, that was normal. But the rule was you don't leave the house. And we were like, all right, I'll invite friends over. And that's what I did. So it was like alcohol was my very first drug. Mm-hmm. So drinking on the weekends, whatever. It was out of control. But it was at the point where it's at night. I'm
yeah.
up and I'm sneaking a little bit here and there. No one knows.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
My grandmother made like this homemade wine out of brandy. I would like do drinks out of there or all this stuff.
That sounds either good or terrible.
It was, yes.
Homemade wine out of brandy.
Yes. She had her own mix. I can't even describe it, but it was great. I mean, that's what
That sounds like some alchemy.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Keep it
We're going to
interesting,
turn
right?
this into gold.
But it was just a lot of drinking growing up. It really was, and that was considered normal. You know, you were talked about if your children were not drinking. Mm-hmm. You know, that's how it was.
Really?
Oh yeah, that's the way That's the way it was where I lived.
Okay.
In the world that I lived in my neighborhood. I mean, because there was this like, your child isn't having a sip of this. It's okay, and that's the way it was brought. That's the way I heard that all the time. All the time.
Well, brandy's like a port wine, right? Like, or kind of like related to port wine, so it'd almost be considered like a dessert. Would that be the way, like the thinking?
No, it was just
No.
I'm trying to alcohol logic this, you know.
You know something. I'm going to say it's just the where we grew up. Combination of that, and also just the religion and everything like that.
Yeah.
So it was just, and that's the way they were brought up.
Yes.
And for them, that's normal. So they were just passing it on.
Yep.
I just like that your grandmother had essentially the alcohol equivalent of like taking, like, you know, when you take Coke and make it into crack and like vice versa. She was like, I got this.
Right.
But on wine.
It was mixology 102.
Yeah.
Why did you take it there? Why did you take it there at all? All right, continue, Howard.
That's okay. So as time went on, I was introduced to pot. So I was 16 years old. My friend, a friend of mine goes, "Hey man, you want to get high?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So it was like 5 of us in the car, and they go, "Howard, you drive because because people usually don't get high the first time." Well, I found out for me that was a lie.
You knew how to
that was
inhale.
for me too.
We've talked about
too.
this.
Yeah, actually, no, and I've heard your previous podcast.
Yeah.
And yes, I did smoke cigarettes. Cigarettes.
Yep, exactly.
I remember hearing that.
Yep.
But yeah, so it was like a 2.5-foot Toastmaster, and I'm in the driver's seat, and I'm like, all right.
Wait, so you're smoking a bong the first time?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're definitely going to inhale that.
Wait, where did you get a bong?
From them.
Okay.
The friends
yeah,
I was
it's the
hanging with.
friends, of
I had
course.
nothing. They were like, "Hey, yeah, come on." So it was like 5 of us in the car. So
driving.
I'm driving. So we're we're like some kind of abandoned road, and we're just smoking up.
Yeah.
We're just having a good time. So we decided to get some munchies, of course.
Yeah.
And I'm driving on this road, and the road that slightly curves to the right, I keep going straight. Next thing you know, my car is literally right over the double lines.
Yep.
Everyone is freaking out. Pull over. And I'm just laughing, thinking it's the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah.
I cannot stop. And I pulled over, and somebody who was, I would say, the least high, which still wasn't that good, was driving. But I remember that feeling like feeling nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, yeah, this is what I've been looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And that took me on the road. So for me, it was just getting high constantly, skipping school, barely making good grades, looking for the next party.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I was just always looking for the next high, and I was trying to hang out with people who were using, but I didn't call it using then. I was
No.
people get high, people wanted to party, blah blah blah, and
Let's go have fun.
yeah, and that's what I thought. And
Because by this point, it's what, the late 70s, early 80s?
this is like early mid 80s.
Okay.
At this point, I would say it was 84, so I was 16.
Okay.
It was 1984.
Okay.
And my addiction just progressed tremendously. Like it was like I was waiting for this because at the same time my life at home was like it was different. I grew up in a household where children were seen and not heard, and whoever yells the loudest wins. Also, I came from a verbally abusive household, also a physically abusive household.
Yeah.
So for me to escape, this was what I was waiting for.
Yeah.
And and also I was at the age where throughout time, like I was unsure of myself, very insecure, didn't know what I wanted to do. I was doing things like sports here and there, but it was more like rec. It wasn't more like high
Not
school.
serious.
Yeah, nothing serious. But and I was very addicted to Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah.
I did that every Saturday morning.
What was your
What
favorite
was your Saturday morning cartoons? Yeah, because you're in the 80s. You're like prime time.
Super Friends.
Okay. Yeah, Super
That's
Friends.
good.
Super Friends were always great, but also I loved anything by Hanna-Barbera.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Which was also amazing. But bottom line is, it took me out of myself.
Yeah.
And it was great. And my parents also, they got divorced when I was like 6 years old.
Oh, really?
So there was a lot of that too. Back and forth, a lot of fighting, a lot of yelling, even when they were divorced.
Yeah.
So when I was introduced to whatever, alcohol, whatever, I would escape.
Yeah.
And it was a lot. And yes, I had lots of presents during the holiday season and my birthday and stuff like that. But it was, I mean, my dad would take us on the weekends and Wednesday night evening dinners. And but there was always fight on the weekends, and my dad couldn't take us. My mom would be like, well, I don't want to take them. We didn't feel, my sister and I did not feel like, like really sometimes we don't want, so the grandparents would take us.
Oh.
But it happens sometimes, in a divorce
So your parents
family.
would just sort of like toss you back and forth?
Well, like on the weekends, my dad
Okay.
couldn't take us one weekend.
Okay.
My mom was like, well, I already have plans this weekend, so that weekend would be with one of our grandparents.
Oh.
And it's okay. I mean, listen, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's divorce time. Like, it was just, I mean, in my neighborhood, divorce was not, it was rare. It was very rare. And so it was a lot to deal with. But I just went down the road of using, and that's what took me away. And then finally what happened was during when I hit college, when I hit college, by then I was just popping. Actually, I was popping pills back in high school too.
Yeah.
I worked at a drugstore.
Oh, fun.
Oh yeah. So I worked at a drugstore behind the counter, and I got a lot of knowledge.
Did you
Yeah,
sell
yeah, yeah.
Were you like an alcohol pharmacy or just a
No.
pharmacy? Because I remember they used to be alcohol pharmacies, and I thought they were the coolest places.
Actually, no. Back then, when I did it in 16, there were no alcohol pharmacies.
What is an alcohol pharmacy?
a place that
Pharmacy
sells liquor
sells
and
alcohol.
Oh.
Yeah, no, they
they
didn't.
got rid of those. Like
Liquor stores?
Yeah.
liquor stores, a liquor store with a pharmacy,
With a pharmacy,
in
right?
it.
But no,
Oh.
I worked at this one.
That is a terrible combination.
It was great.
That's like the brew-throughs in the South.
So,
Like,
you
hey,
know-
let's combine
So,
a drive-through
do you know
at a liquor store.
David, the Tasty Zone, the liquor store right next to the Tasty Zone? That used to be
Oh, okay.
Oakdale?
Yeah.
Oakdale used
Oh,
to be a
it's Oakdale
pharmacy.
Pharmacy.
Yeah,
That's what
a
it's called.
pharmacy slash liquor store. And like you could like, I remember my ex's mom would go in there and be like, "Yeah, it's the best place. I get my pills and I get my vodka and like rah rah rah."
That's terrible. My God.
She was very upset when the pharmacy went
Yeah.
away.
So people in the 70s and 80s are just mixing diet pills and cheap vodka.
Pretty much.
terrible.
Pretty much. Yes. But that
Were
was
they diet pills? Is that what you were taking?
No. I worked at the actual pharmacy.
You probably had Quaaludes back then.
Oh, you
Yeah.
were taking Quaaludes?
No, I wasn't taking.
Like, holy shit, dude.
Wait, did I?
I don't know.
I took the
You
lot.
tell me.
I took whatever people gave me. Actually, I was one of those. Yeah, like here, take this. I'm like, all right, sure.
Yeah.
But in the pharmacy, what I would do is I would like take people come back get their prescriptions, and I would see after a while like people weren't picking up their prescriptions after a week or two. So then I would go to the pharmacist. Hey, what does this do? What does this do? So I would look for things that would say like cause drowsiness. And if I found something, that says do not operate heavy machinery, I'm like, I scored. And that's what I did. I used to steal from there all the time and take whatever. And also, when I go to people's homes, I check out their, cabinet.
Yeah.
But I used to pop pills all the time. Huh. Yeah. So, and this was when I was still in high school.
Yeah.
So then when I hit college, I was into hallucinogenics. I never,
Where'd you go to college?
actually Western Maryland College, now called McDaniel.
McDaniel.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. And I went there.
wow.
I went there. It was cool. A friend of mine was going there.
Did you live in Westminster?
No, I lived in Pikesville.
Okay, so you didn't
That's
make
still
the
not
move
that
out
bad
there.
of a bob.
Well,
But no,
I know,
but
but
I
like
li-
they
but I
have
lived
like a
on campus.
college town. and
Okay,
stuff.
okay.
Yeah.
You lived
No,
on campus.
I did
Okay.
live on campus. I
Yeah,
did do
yeah.
that, but when I hit college and total freedom, I was off to the races.
Yeah.
and I went very fast. The guy, my roommate, I used with, and he knew a lot of people. I used with them. Next thing you know, I'm dealing up there.
Yeah.
I'm dealing to the fraternities. Here's a freshman. There's word around town. where to get drugs, and I have people knocking on my door, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning.
yeah.
For weed too. I mean, it's so ridiculous.
Oh, it was crazy. Or, yeah. But I did sell weed up there. Everything else I kept. Of course, selling I was not good at it. Because I would say, I'll just sell enough and then I'll keep the profits I'll make. I'll just, drink whatever, use whatever. But then next thing you know, I'm dipping into what I'm supposed to be selling.
Yeah.
And
Did you ever try to sell? Eric, did you ever try to sell?
I failed
yeah.
miserably.
I could see you doing
I
that.
went straight into the pile. I was like, I can just totally go right into this.
I was good at maintaining just like a perfectly, like I never got into the black, but I never got into the red either. So I was just able to, I can constantly flip this. I was
Not
like,
good
I was
at the
good
margins.
Like,
this
yeah.
guy over here.
No, I was not Pablo Escobar. I could not, get any sort of profit margin, but I could maintain. I could flip enough.
Yeah.
But
wow. Yeah. So every week I would make a weekly run back to Baltimore, pick up from a guy who used to supply me, take it up to the college. I did that every week. So we always had to supply one way or another.
Yeah.
And and then we started getting into coke.
Yep.
And of course, we knew a guy that would.
Cocaine in the 80s must have been great.
It was. We knew a guy that would give it to us, but he lived in Florida and he wouldn't mail it to us.
Of course he lived in
Florida. So we had to drive down to
live?
To get the coke to bring it back.
That's a long drive.
That's 18 hours.
Yeah.
Did you have any coke left when you got back?
Yeah. No. Well, we had. Yes, actually, believe it or not, we decided not to touch it.
The trip back only took 9 hours, which was really interesting.
We would just get high the whole way back.
Yeah, of course.
But when we get back to the college, we were cutting it and doing what we needed to do. And, yeah. So but then I came to the point in my life where I hit a bottom. I was pumping.
Real quick, I've been to some of your anniversaries,
yes.
and I've never heard any of this because, like, you've been clean for so long. You just hear all like the good later recovery stuff, but like this is the good stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, so I hit a bottom. It was bad. I was pumping so much crap in my body, the drugs weren't working anymore.
Yeah,
and feelings were coming up, and feelings were coming up, and I was going to my friends, this is happening, and they're like, dude, we don't want to hear this. Here, take this. This will fix you.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
Every time they would say that, and it was at the point I was ready to die. I was done. I wanted to kill myself, and it was at the point where I wanted to put so much crap in my body. I didn't want to wake up, but every morning I woke up, I was like, damn it.
Yeah, that's never a good feeling.
Yeah, I did like, oh man, the birds are singing, the sun's up. I don't want this. I'm just hoping to die.
Yeah,
and I was doing that for a while, and then I came to the point where I actually, I don't know, I looked at myself in the mirror, which I hate looking at myself in the mirror, and I said I need some help. So I decided to go to a meeting.
Just randomly.
Yeah. I knew about meetings because I was introduced back in 1984 through a friend of mine who actually introduced me, and he would take me to meetings maybe 2-3 times a year of that. And if I knew I was going to a meeting that one day, I wouldn't use for that one day because the last thing I want to be doing is being profiled by other people going, dude, man, he's high. Because I didn't want you guys to kill my buzz.
Yeah.
But as soon as you dropped me off, I was off to the races. But so
it's very conscientious of you, because there's a lot of people in the Baltimore area that are like, I don't care, I'm showing up to the meeting as high as a fucking kite.
Right. Well, I didn't want you guys to kill my buzz because I was very, I was like, do they know? They know. I was so paranoid.
All right, yeah, it was
trust me, it wasn't because I cared.
Okay, got it.
It wasn't even close to that because it was always about me.
Yeah.
So I went to a meeting, and our very first meeting I went to clean without my friend. It was a Tuesday night meeting in Shepherd Pratt. Nice. Huge meeting. It was in their cafeteria.
In Towson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so big they split it off into 2 meetings.
Huh.
On separate sides of the cafeteria.
Yeah.
And I remember going sitting down this meeting, and there was this guy. And I remember everyone at that meeting. Unfortunately, no one's around today. We're talking back in 87.
37 years ago.
Yeah. So I remember the guy sitting next to me, and I remember him from high school. I never used with this guy. He was a year younger than me, but I never knew that, he was an addict like myself. And I remember he had with him 2 packs of cigarettes and a pack of licorice. And back then...
And a pack of licorice?
Yes.
Black licorice or red licorice?
Red licorice.
Okay.
A pack
That's
of
acceptable.
Is there a demon here? Like, what the fuck is going on? And black licorice. Who the fuck's carrying around black licorice?
I actually have a great story about that for after the podcast.
Oh, my God.
We'll get into that.
Fucking demons over here.
And so he and I remember back then you were allowed to smoke in meetings.
Yeah.
Which was, if you were a smoking...
That's the dream.
Those meetings were a haven. If you didn't smoke...
They were awful.
They were horrible.
Terrible.
So I smoked, which was great.
Yeah.
But then he offered me a piece of licorice. And I don't know about where you guys grew up or where I grew up. If somebody gives you something, there's a string attached.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm good. Bottom line, he was just being nice.
Yeah.
I didn't take the licorice, though.
Yeah.
But that was my first meeting clean. And, they told me to do 90 meetings in 9 days. I did probably 120. I lived in the rooms.
Yeah.
I had to do what I do because I wanted to die. I hated myself, but I didn't want to go back to the way I was doing, what I was doing. I mean... It was bad. I mean, actually, I remember this one story. It was very embarrassing. I was at the college, and I wanted to. I had my car there at the college, and I wanted to.
Wait, what kind of car are you driving at this point?
A Plymouth Volare 1979 station wagon.
I don't even know what that is.
Say that again.
But the station wagon sounds so cool.
A Plymouth Volare 1979 station wagon.
Okay.
And it had on it 120,000 miles on it. The dashboard lights did not work. The gas tank was cracked. There was an oil leak, and to start the car, I had to open up the hood and like.
Oh, you had to tap on it. Yeah.
Oh my God, this car looks beautiful.
It was.
You could sleep in this thing.
I actually sleep and actually have sex in that. Just want to let
you
you know.
You could have sex in this. I mean, this looks like 1980s. Like we're gonna pull up to like the Lover's Lane type car.
Oh God.
It was given to. It was my dad's car, and he gave it to me since he got another one.
That's pretty dope cover.
Did you have the wood paneling? Please tell me you had the wood
No,
paneling.
I'm sorry, I did not. It was all maroon all over. My dad was not into wood paneling.
So great.
And so there's the station wagon.
And actually that was his second station wagon that he ever had.
That's such a cool car.
Okay, so
he loved the station wagon.
So you're back at college.
So I was going to drive to like a fast food restaurant with a friend of mine. I go out to the parking lot. My car's not there. I am flipping out.
Yeah.
So I go to campus security. Say, listen, my car is stolen. They go, well, have this guy drive around with you and try and find your car. We're driving around, can't find it. So then we're driving around on the outskirts of the college where the streets were. There's my car parked on the street. Parked on the street that I use so much, I don't even remember parking there at all.
Oh, so you parked your car.
I parked my car, don't remember. And here's the thing is, it was on a one-way street facing the wrong way.
Facing the wrong way, yeah.
And I was just like, ugh. And next thing you know, the officer calls it in and goes, yeah, we got one of those again. And I was real embarrassed. I was like, I cannot believe I'm one of those. I was like,
you didn't play it off?
But what do you do?
But I mean, you're like, shit, someone stole my car.
Yeah,
no,
why would they park it here?
No, I didn't play it off at all. I think it was
crazy.
the shocking of it all.
Yeah.
I was like, it had to be me.
Yeah.
It had to be me. And I mean, my keys are in my hand. They never left my room.
Your keys were in your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a good start.
That's not a good start.
No, and that was because I heard like years later from friends of mine that I used to use with. I used to black out a lot. I just don't remember a lot of stuff till this day.
Yeah, that's what a blackout is.
Yeah, but yeah, pretty much. But for me to drive and to be there scared me a lot. But did it stop me using right then? No, it didn't. I kept going.
Yeah, of course.
But that was like one of those stories. But as time went on, I just got involved in the rooms. You know, I mean, did you want me to tell a little bit of like how it was for me a little in the end?
Was that your bottom?
Bring us from
My bottom was just wanting to die.
Yeah.
And for me, that's what scared me the most because I was, like I said, like I was trying to use so much that I wouldn't wake up in the morning.
Well, from 87 to here, how'd you get here?
Oh wow, I took I-95. Wow.
That is a terrible dad joke.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, it'd be more 795. But,
That's very true. Very true. So so I was going to meetings like I was doing 120 meetings and I just got involved, you know. I mean, there was actually this brand new meeting that started in Reisterstown and it was called Give Yourself a Break. It's still there today.
Yep.
And I was going to meetings for about a week, because there were no meetings in Carroll County at the time when I was going to college out there. There was nothing. And so I would my days were like this. I would wake up in the morning. I would go to and from class, to my dorm, to and from to meals. And if I wasn't going to class, I wasn't going to meals. I was sitting in my room, watching the clock, living 1 minute at a time.
Yeah.
Because if I knew if I left that room, I didn't have a destination, I'm going to use it, I'm going to die. And that's what I really believed. So if I knew it was an 8 o'clock meeting, it took me 30 minutes to get there, I'll get in my car at 7 o'clock, go to the meeting early, hang out, smoked a lot of coffee, smoked a lot of cigarettes, drank a lot of coffee, hung out after the meeting. Everyone used to go out after the meetings.
Of course.
And I didn't have any money, but I didn't want to go back to my dorm room and isolate, so I would just go out, hang out until the last person said, time to go home. Went all the way back to the house, back to the dorm room, went back to my room, and just waited, and just went back to sleep and did the same thing the next day. I did that for my first 30 days clean. After 30 days, I asked my mom, hey, listen, can I move back home? And I told her what was going on. She said yes. She had every right to say no.
Yeah.
But she said yes. And I was very grateful, so I was able to move back home. I got involved in the program. I transferred to Towson University.
Okay.
Which actually at the time, there was a lot of people in the program that actually went to Towson.
Yeah.
We even created our own meeting on campus. It was
where was there a meeting on campus?
Right at the it was in the hall. It's not there anymore, but
Okay.
it was called the Shit Happens meeting.
Where was it? It was in what? Which
course.
hall?
The Union. It was in
Is
the
it Union Hall?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool that you guys got a meeting in
Yeah,
there.
it was called the Shit Happens meeting, and it was every Friday, and they put that in the schedule.
Yeah.
So it was great.
Yeah.
And then after a little while, the meeting moved off campus, and then finally, the meeting just closed after some years ago.
Yeah.
But it was a great meeting Friday at noon.
Nice.
And we would have it every Friday, and it was great. But I never finished college. I realized while going to school, I really had zero study habits.
Yeah.
Because I was getting high all the time. Mm-hmm. I was using all the time. So I decided just to work and do a trade. And
What trade?
Actually, my thing was I was just working. My very first job, clean, I worked at a video rental store called Budget Video.
That's
Okay.
amazing.
Okay.
Which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
And actually, when I went there, I met. I got
If
the
nothing
job.
else dated you, that did.
What? You could rent
For the kids that
video
are listening, you
tapes?
used to go to these places and get movies and bring them home.
Yes,
And you had to be kind and rewind.
kind and rewind, or
Be kind and rewind.
Oh, every time.
Yeah.
And if not, you get charged for
Yep.
$1.
Yeah. That's a lot of money back then.
Yeah, that's why you could better rewind it.
Hell yeah.
So that was my first. But then I just I was doing the road of like working at banks and working as a a cashier somewhere, doing that kind of stuff. But after that, I don't know. I decided to go in the career of broadcasting. So I went to this trade school.
You have the voice for it.
Thank you
I was
very much.
gonna say.
Thank you. A lot of people say I also have the face for radio, which is fantastic. I love that a lot.
Dude, that's rude.
But
You're a
I just
good-looking
laugh at
dude.
all people.
You're a good looking dude.
Thank you.
You
Thank
have you have a great voice though, as far as like your tone,
Thank you.
That's
Good.
So I went to school for that. I was a trade school, and I was doing radio and television for a little while. Still clean.
Yeah.
And wherever I lived, like in Delaware or Southern Maryland, that's where I did a lot of the stuff. I went to meetings.
Yeah.
No matter where I was. And then afterwards, and at the same time, I'm working steps. I'm going to meetings. I'm doing what I need to do. And at one time in my life, actually, and after I was done with that, I got married.
Yeah.
And my wife, who's also in the program, I met her in the program.
You got married at 11 years clean.
Yes.
10, 11
10, 11. Actually, no,
I'm doing a lot
was
of
it
math
10?
this morning.
It was like 10, 11 years clean. Yeah, because it was 98.
Because you just celebrated 26. 26 minus 37 is 11.
Yeah, look at that. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your math portion of the program.
Hey.
But I got married, and then afterwards I had to think about like making more money per se.
Yeah.
And but even before that, actually, I was in a career of I was an MC for beauty pageants.
Shut up.
Yeah, I did that for 3 years straight, from '96 to '98.
Where?
There was a company called Nationals Inc. And
Did you do like the state ones? Each state, like, welcome, Miss Wisconsin.
it was city pageants. So I was in California for Miss Sacramento, Miss LA, Miss San Diego, and I forgot what was the other one. But anyway, I did all that. I traveled around. It was my weekend gig, and I had my weekdays off. And wherever I was in the state, in the nation, I went to a meeting.
Nice.
And so I had like all these schedules from everywhere I went. It was fantastic.
That's right.
I met all these great people.
Yeah.
And so it was awesome. And then I decided to get married and settle down. So I was trying to go through the finance thing. Meanwhile, I never graduated college yet. And it was fine, but there were things about the finance world I did not like.
Yeah.
And I wasn't happy that I was making money.
Yeah.
And at the same time, my wife, she went back to school to get her doctorate.
Oh.
And after she got her doctorate in occupational therapy, actually.
Oh.
So she was done. She goes, okay, now you're going back to school. So then I went back to school.
Nice.
And, a funny story about it. So here I am. I'm still working the program. I'm still doing what I need to do. And I go back to school. And
In your 30s.
40s.
40s. Okay.
So I decided to go to take my transcripts from Western Maryland College and from Towson and go to Carroll Community College and I go, here are my transcripts. And I was just going there just doing research.
Yeah.
And I walked in the door, she looked at my transcripts and she goes, if you take these 7 classes, we'll give you your AA.
Nice.
I said,
after she blew the dust off.
that's right, pretty much. Well, I found out credits never expire.
Really?
Credits never expire.
Okay.
And we're talking over 20 years.
I probably have a solid 4 credits hanging out there. Nice.
So I said, sign me up for all 7 classes right now. And she goes, whoa. You haven't been in school in 20 years.
Yeah.
Why don't you start with 1 class? I'm like, who's this woman? My sponsor? Who is this?
Yeah.
But I'm a huge believer that through the steps, that God speaks through people. And that's my thing.
Yeah.
And so I believe that was a message for me.
That might be the title, Eric. God speaks through people.
Yeah, that's a good
pretty
one.
awesome one.
I mean, I get that a lot through life. Mm-hmm. And I went back to school, and thank God for the program, which taught me a lot of things which I did not have in the beginning, which was asking for help.
Yep.
The professors are out there actually to help you, not to hurt you. Mm-hmm. And if you put the work in, you'll get the results.
Yeah.
And I didn't do any of that in the beginning. I just thought it was supposed to naturally come to me and you're either in or out.
Yep.
I didn't realize there was work behind it. You have to ask for help. And I asked for help a lot. I even saw tutors. Mm-hmm. You know, I had to take English 102. I took English 101 back in the late 80s, early 90s. Yeah. And here I have to take English 102 now. And I used the campus tutors, and it was the best decision I ever made. I walked out of college over this time with a 4.0.
Nice.
And it's not because I'm smart. It's because I did the work.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. It's about doing the work, doing what I need to do. As of today, you know, like I say, today, I still go to a lot of meetings. Mm-hmm. I'm in a career that I love. Yeah. I'm in IT. I'm a software developer / infrastructure engineer. Nice. And I did that. That's what I'm back to school for. I've been with this company for 9 years now. Mm-hmm. I love what I do. I love going to work. My wife and I are still together. We just celebrated 26 years of marriage. Absolutely love it. My kids.
Shout out to wifey.
Yes. Yes. She's a saint. She is a saint. Had 2 kids in the process. Mm-hmm. They're both grown now. Yeah. They never see me use. They see me crazy, but they never see me use.
Yeah.
You know, they knew about my wife and I being in the program. Mm-hmm. But no, they're great. There's been a lot of trials and tribulations through the years with raising kids. Mm-hmm. You know, if you have a teenager out there, my heart does go out for you, and I can help you through that. Yeah. And but I have great relationships with them today. Nice. And thankfully, they did not go down the same path as my wife and I.
Yeah.
You know, they're actually lightweights. You know, they just like drink a little. Like they have like one alcohol, and they're like, okay, we're done. We're like, I go to my wife. Are you sure they're ours? Are they ours? And they always say, Dad, what are you saying? Are you trying to encourage us? I'm like, no, but you know, I'm like, we're just wondering.
Yeah.
Did we pick up the wrong babies from the hospital? Yeah. What's going on? But no, they're great. I mean, they've been to meetings with me when they were little. Yeah. Because when my wife was getting her doctorate, I would take them to meetings.
Yeah.
And everyone was very awesome with them. They were great. And actually, they enjoyed the time. Like, especially Saturday night, we'd go to Awana or whatever. And they loved it there. They knew everyone there. Mm-hmm. So, and going out to eat afterwards. But it was great.
Awana.
Yeah. It was great just like doing that. And where I am today, actually, I'm the best place where I can be in my recovery.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I feel very more at peace.
Mm-hmm. That was your home group, right? Awana?
No. People thought it was because I used to go there all the time. Mm-hmm. But I used to go to a lot of meetings all the time. People
was it Thursday?
Hope and Hampstead.
Well, actually, it was Hope and Hampstead. But
wasn't it St. Mark's for a second?
St. Mark's. Which
or
one?
St. Martin's?
In Westminster?
No, the one on Pikesville.
Oh, Topics of Recovery.
The Thursday night meeting.
Yeah.
Wasn't that your home group?
At one time that was. And at one time, Hope and Hampstead was.
Yeah.
But now I'm in New Beginnings, which is in Westminster.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. I like to hop.
Yeah.
But I've been in the New Beginnings for a little bit. Actually, one time there was like a men's rap on Thursday night in Timonium area. But one time that was also.
Well, that's awesome you're out in Carroll, too, because Carroll doesn't have as much as like here. You know?
That's very true. That's very true. At one time, it was very little, but now we got like maybe 2 or 3 a night, which is fantastic. Oh, yeah. Whoever thought?
2 or 3 a night. Yeah, I know when I was in Eldersburg, it was like, when I lived there, I was like, man, there's not a lot of meetings out here.
Right. You
know?
Very true.
But that's great that it's like come up
big time
in the last few years.
It just takes a resentment and a coffee pot. That's all you need. But yeah, but where I am today is, like I said, still have a sponsor, and actually he's got me working traditions. I had 5 meetings a week still.
Nice.
And that's just me because I work from home.
Yeah.
Every day. And at the end of the day, I want to get out. Mm-hmm. So Monday through Friday, I hit a meeting. Nice. I may hit one Sunday morning. Saturday, sometimes I may or may not. Usually I don't.
Anniversaries.
And that's it. Mm-hmm. But and for me, I know a lot of people just go to their home group, which is one meeting a week, which is fine. And I'm not one to judge. But when I go to a different meeting, I get a different group of people every night.
Oh, yeah.
And so for me, bonus.
Oh yeah, everybody knows you.
Yeah,
dude, you're everywhere.
I love knowing people, and also I put myself out there because a lot of people, you can see the same people, but you really don't know them because they don't talk. Mm-hmm. I love reaching out. I love reaching out to newcomers, just like talking with people, and just I love people.
Yeah,
I never thought I would be here, considering I was an isolator back then.
Yeah,
and it's wonderful. It's so freeing. It's like the best ever.
Hell yeah.
I love it.
Well, we definitely got some questions
Oh,
for you.
okay.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Carly, what you got?
Sure, I'll go first.
All right.
So there was some aspect of religion in your childhood.
Yes.
How did that affect your spirituality and concept of a higher power?
Ooh, that is an excellent question. So I was brought up in a household where there was a punishing God. You know, I would be like
You're Jewish, correct?
I am.
You were raised. Yes.
I was raised, born and raised, and actually my father.
Oh yeah, Old Testament God is.
Yeah.
Well,
My father's side of the family, they're Hasidic Orthodox Jews.
I was gonna ask.
Yes, the black hatters, the beards. My mom was not, but they were born. So back then, people got married who were part of the same tribe. My mom, so my mom's side, and my dad's side were part of the same tribe, but one was more religious than the other. But I was brought up in a household where children, like I said, God was a punishing God. And it would be like, I would be like 7 years old playing with my friends. And this is a true story. I got hurt one time. I ran home to my mom. I got hurt. And her exact words were, you know why you got hurt? God punished you.
Whoa!
And that's where
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Dude.
And even in Hebrew, so I went to public school during the day and Hebrew school at night. At Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sunday mornings.
God.
Which was the way to do it back in the elementary school area. Because you always go up to the bar mitzvah thing, and then once you get bar mitzvah, you do whatever you want to do. Okay. But I always hear about the punishing God. But so when I came to NA and looking for help, and I saw God in the steps, I'm like, I'm screwed. I came here looking for help.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my friend who introduced me to NA, and who actually was my first sponsor, he said to me, you know how, because he knew the way I grew up. He was from the same neighborhood. He said to me, you know, Howard, you can choose, it says it's a God of your understanding. You can choose anything you want to be the God of your understanding. And I was really confused at first. I didn't know where to go. So I was asking everyone in the program, from the atheist agnostics to the most religious. And I got a lot of different answers. And as a result of that, from what God of my understanding today is more like it's loving and caring, care for others, stay out of my head to listen to my heart, and also being open-minded to what people say to me rather than shutting them out. So I believe doing the next right thing for the right reason is very important. And it feels good. It's like a sense of freedom because, you know, I love my family. Yeah. I do. But sometimes I don't hear that from them. Like I believe in letting things go, and I've come a long road with this. But because I used to not let things go, because I was brought up in a household. If somebody does something bad to you, you hold on to it as long as you can, and you throw it in their face later. They never said in those exact words, but I saw the actions. Yeah. So, and I didn't think that was God's will. That's mine. So my thing is like, I know what my will is. So my God's will when it comes to spirituality at that point, it's just more like I said, I do things from my heart. Like it's the right thing to do. Because I know for me, I ask myself, what would I want? Yeah. How would I? So that's what I hope I answered your question correctly. All right, cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
What you got, Eric?
I have a lot of questions.
Is it about the car? I can answer.
No, not about the car. I think let's stick with the Pikesville theme for a moment here.
Yeah, I love to.
Like, it had to be definitely different growing up in Pikesville than growing up in, let's say, Catonsville or White Marsh or Columbia.
He's the most long-winded fucking.
Shut the fuck up, David. You know, there's something called a narrative. Okay, you're trying to build here.
Keep going with your question.
I'm going to yield all of my questions to Eric, too.
So, like, just talk a little bit more about that and, like, trying to find yourself in, like, the world when you're growing up, especially since half of your family is, you know, one way and the other half is another way. Yeah. That's very confusing. And then you also are living right next to a city, in like Park Heights, like, which is on one side of you. And then the other side of you, you have like Carroll County, which, I mean, what a fucking juxtaposition there. Yeah. So like, how did you kind of come to terms with that growing up and decide to kind of, you know, take the path you're on today?
Yeah, great question. So where I grew up in right near Millbrook Elementary School. Now, Millbrook Elementary School is right near Reisterstown Road Plaza. So we were right on the county-city line. So I went to a county school, but we had a city zip code. So, and also in all the neighborhoods, you know, we compared to like my friends in Pikesville, we had alleys.
Yeah.
And my friend said to me, who like from the neighborhood, goes, Howard, we lived in the ghetto of Pikesville. And I'm like going, you know, because she said to me, because we have alleys. I'm like, I never thought of it like that. Yeah. But the alleys were great because that's where we used to ride our bicycles, in the alleys.
Of course, yeah.
So it was great. But, you know, and it was very hard to find myself because here I'm going to a school where everyone had these single family homes and these nice cars, and and I'm just like, I had no idea how to find myself. It was very difficult. And I think the biggest thing that helped me, it was through time and where I am today is, I guess, besides working the steps and finding out who I am, which is a big thing, just the people I hung out with. Granted, through the years, they told me to pick the winners. And there was some people that I picked in the beginning, or even like sometimes I like, if it was more of a gut feeling through time.
Yeah.
Because if for some reason something didn't feel right, but I saw other people doing it, I just want to go forward with it. And a great thing when it came to this was like relationships. I was hanging out with a bunch of guys who were giving me advice about relationships that knew nothing about relationships.
Yep.
and I'm going, this doesn't feel right, but I was doing it anyway, and I had to. It's tough to stand up for myself and saying, I can't. It doesn't feel right. I just can't hang with you.
Yeah.
And actually, part of my life, there was these close friends that I used to be with in the program, and they would hang out with other people other people. I can't say if they were in the program or not, but other people that were not about what I was about, and they would hang with them. And I shared with them, and I said, "Listen, I can't hang. I love you guys, but I can't hang with you anymore because you're with people that are not about what I'm about."
Yeah.
And so I hung out with other people, actually people that were older in the program, and like more adult.
Yeah.
And I had to learn how to grow. And so from there, there was a lot of give and take. There's a lot of things also, you talk about growing up in Pikesville and everything, even the religious aspect,
Yeah.
I don't follow through. Like I don't go to synagogue. I used to go, when I was younger, I was go to because I had to.
Yeah.
But as I got older, the only reason I went in the even the most recent years because my father would go, and we would go just in the high holidays.
Yeah.
Like I want to go in the Sabbath, but it was really weird because growing up, my dad never went. He was the oldest of three, and he was the renegade of the family.
You said he was from the Hasidic side too, right?
Yeah, he actually.
That's odd.
He ran away from home to join the army at 18.
Whoa.
Yeah, where his mother found him to give him his retainer in the army. Great story. He was the one that
his retainer.
Yeah,
that's
so
like
he went to
sketch.
It's a place called Talmud Academy, which is still around today, which is like an all Jewish high school. And he'd be the one. He worked in the AV room where he would be like making alcohol in the AV room. He would be the one that rewired the AV system so you can hear what's going on in the principal's
Your
office.
dad's the prankster?
My dad, he was the rebel.
Your dad was David.
Thank you.
So, but now in recent years, he's like, Howard, you should go to synagogue more. I'm like, how can you put that on me when you didn't even do that?
Yeah.
I said, Dad, I'll go with you on the high holidays.
Okay.
But now I'm at the point where I don't go on the high holidays anymore. But for me, it's more of a spiritual thing. I do. My thing is today is I do more meditation. I do my quiet time every morning.
Yeah.
I do some meditation. I do a little bit of reading. And I do prayer, but even the prayer part, I don't pray in Hebrew, because I was like, what am I saying? So I do my prayers in English.
Yeah.
And it actually works for me.
Fair.
But it's not like it's not, and for me to share this is huge because for me considering
Carly praying in Latin.
Yeah. No,
Do you know Latin?
No.
Did you have to learn it in Catholic school?
No, but that's totally fair to be like,
people do
if
that,
I don't
right?
understand this language, why am I going to pray in it?
Exactly. And I was
people
doing
learn
it because
Latin,
everyone else was doing
Catholic
it.
school,
Yeah.
right?
And that's what I was taught.
You're faking it until you make it.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
some
unfortunately I didn't make it down
require-
that road, but I had to I actually had to follow others who actually where I am today, and I feel more connected to God in my understanding as a result.
Well, that's what's
rather
most
than the
important.
religious God, which is fine.
Yeah.
If you're, that's fantastic. That's wonderful. For me, I had to do what I had to do. I
Yeah.
mean, who even knew I would even be here?
Yeah.
I took a chance. I had nothing to lose.
Yeah.
I hope I answered your question okay.
You did.
Good. All right.
You talked about, having divorce being part of your story at a young age. How pivotal was that in sort of, towards, shooting your trajectory towards addiction? And was it?
Well, that was a lot because it was, like I said, it was about escaping. And
Well, because I imagine like you were probably one of the only kids who were a child of divorce at the time.
very few.
So
yeah.
you felt apart
Well, especially in your community too.
Yeah,
that had to be very rare.
It was very rare. It was something that was unheard of. But also at the same time, the people, I hate to say this, but the people in my neighborhood, they were married. We just heard a lot of yelling in the neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
We really did. But yeah, it was a way to escape. Like, the kids would never be at home. The kids would be in the playgrounds because we didn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
We didn't want to hear it. And as far as the addiction, of course, you were like, we're getting together. What do we do? Okay, we'll play some basketball, whatever. But hey, how about this alcohol? I mean, alcohol was huge in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So that was the way we escaped whatever towards the addiction of it all. And I love my parents. I do. And they did the best they could.
Yeah, yeah.
And back then, you didn't just simply move out and move together. It's like you get married first and then you live together.
Yeah.
And that's the way it was. And that's, they got married young, in their early 20s, I would say 2021, because that's what they wanted to do. But as a result of what they went through, I knew what I did want and I knew what I didn't want. And very true story. Both my parents gave me advice separately, and they gave me the same advice separately. Wait until I'm at least 30 to get married.
Interesting.
Which I found that, and because they weren't talking at the time, they both gave me the same advice. And I'm like, all right. But I learned not to settle. And that's who I learned. I had to learn how to date.
Yeah.
Which I never knew how to date.
Yeah.
And actually, women in the program.
It's kind of something that.
Yeah.
Was anybody ever really taught like how to date people?
No.
I mean, I had a
No,
bird and the
you
bees talk, which was hilarious. But
Knowing your dad, that sounds horrendous.
he was just like, wear a condom. And that was it.
That's an important talk.
Well, actually, I learned from the women in the program how to date, not from the men.
Yeah.
From the women.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful.
That's a good place to start because
it was
a lot
great.
of men suck.
It was, yeah. And the thing is, I think it's not because they do, but I think because they weren't taught, or they were taught differently. Because I was taught differently. I'm like, I had all these close women friends. I'm like, all right, teach me, and I learned how to date, and because I knew how to jump into a relationship. Both feet, let's go, and let's see where it takes us. Didn't take far.
Yeah,
and plus I was doing a lot of growing up. I learned how to date, and that's who I ended up with the woman I'm with today, and 26 years of marriage.
Oh, yeah.
It's fantastic. And I learned how to be a better father, a better husband, a better friend as a result of it. And it was trial and error.
Yeah.
But it was great. And actually, I do something with my kids that I never received from my parents. When I'm wrong, I apologize to them.
Yeah.
That's very important.
My parents have never, till this day, have apologized for anything. And that's where they are. But I do apologize to my kids for right there on the spot when it happens.
Yeah.
And as a result
great.
of that, I have a stronger relationship with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I love.
Yeah.
And so I'm sorry that I had to go through what I had to go through, but from what I went through for the divorce, I got to change my ways.
Yeah.
So the toxicity and the just stops here. And I don't want to pass that on to them.
So you got to learn what not to do.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. What do you got, Carly?
What other ways has addiction manifested itself in your recovery?
Yeah, great question. I've heard your previous podcast. I've heard this question. I'm going, I got to do research on this one because I have a feeling someone was going to ask it. Because I've been asked my wife, how would you answer this one?
Yeah.
When I put down the drugs, everything else popped up.
Yeah.
Something. It's weird. I was thinking about this, and my thing was, I did a lot of gambling. I did a lot of food. But my thing, my thing was just addicted towards knowledge. I think I went a little too far in the knowledge part, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Where, my thing was, I would just like,
Rude.
what do you mean by, like, somebody would
Fair.
answer, like, I would ask someone a question, they would answer, like, well, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? It was the point where it was annoying. It was like, I would call it the Woody Woodpecker
And you didn't have Google, so you actually had to like go through.
What is this? Guys, where's the encyclopedias?
That's right. I had to bring up my Encyclopedias Britannica. But I had to like, what does it mean by that? What do you mean? Because I was searching knowledge, fact-checking the old-fashioned way. But it was at the point where, like, Howard, people had to pull me up. They would say, stop. Just accept it. I'm like, but what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
I mean, just like, for me, it was an insecurity. It was, because I always wanted to be in the now. I didn't want to miss out on anything. And I didn't want to, I hate that insecure feeling because I didn't have enough knowledge. And I had a difficult time accepting it's the answer,
Yeah.
and that's it. But that's pretty much like how it went in, because I was always digging more, and looking up more. Because in the beginning, and I came to in the beginning because I would like say something or do something in a meeting, and somebody would come up to me after the meeting, go, that's breaking traditions right there. And I would be like, okay. But then, and that's just like, all right, fine. But then afterwards, someone said to me another time, that's breaking traditions. So I would say, which one? But they wouldn't have an answer. Personally, I think they were saying that because they didn't like what I said.
Yeah.
And, and like, I'll just have to say that because I don't like it. But then I learned how to do more research.
Arguing is fun.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when I have like very little time, and they have all the time in the world, and I feel wrong all the time, which doesn't help. It's an insecurity that I have. But that's how it would manifest. But I learned how to back off, accept more, and be more open-minded towards others. And just so for me, I learned that that people that do talk to me have my best interest, rather than the old way I used to think no one has my best interest.
Yeah.
But I believe that the people that talk to me do, and that's how I turn that around.
Nice. Fantastic. Really, since you looked at me. So fun fact about like learning and stuff. That's why Guinness Book of World Records was created.
Yeah.
It was it's the same company that made Guinness.
Yeah.
That book was created to settle bar fights. Like when people would be like, how do you know that? How do you know that? So they created a book of just stupid facts.
That's fucking stupid.
And that's what Guinness World Records was. It was a way, and it was initially like sold in bars in Ireland. Like when people get into arguments over stupid shit, refer to the Guinness Book of Records.
Our striker was this person.
True story.
I believe it.
It is. It's a terrible,
I wasn't
terrible
doubting
fact.
you.
Terrible fact. What do you got, Eric?
All right. So you got clean real young.
Yeah.
Like real young. I mean, there's a lot of people who hadn't even
That's a
started
good thing.
using.
That's true. I hear that a lot.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like at that point, I think we're all young users
Well,
here.
the early bird drinks the worm.
But no, I mean, I even
I've
felt.
never said that before. That was a great joke.
That was good.
I've even felt like, I started using it at 15 and I was like, that's late, because David started using it at like 12, right? So I'm like, oh man, I waited
11,
too
but
long.
who's counting?
But so like, has that messed you up during your recovery of feeling, because you never got to have a drink legally? You like,
Well, the drinking age was 18 back then, wasn't it?
No, not at
Well,
his
my fake ID
age.
was my fake ID was grandfathered in.
Okay, there you go.
Because I got
My
at 16
fake ID
when I
was
was 16, I got a fake ID that said I was 19. I was going to University of Maryland, and then they put in the law about when I was 16. Right after that, they put in the law that they bumped the age up to 21. But some people were grandfathered in.
Was that a big deal at the time? Were people like, oh, this is
Yeah,
wrong?
because the people that were just waiting to turn 18.
Yeah, 19 and 20-year-olds were pissed.
But I was okay. My fake ID said I was 19, so I was good. And my fake ID was grandfathered in.
Okay.
okay.
All right.
So how did that? How do you feel? Like, do you have any? I mean, probably not. But do you have any reservations about that, or any
Probably
like
not by
certain?
now.
I know, not
Yeah.
by
No,
now.
it's-
But
it's-
like,
like
did you
ever.
have reservations about that at any point?
No, not really. The only reservation I ever had when I was using, I wanted at 21 to go out with a big blast.
You wanted a
Because that would have been the
party.
legal drinking age for me.
Yeah.
But when I was 21,
Well, did you have a Did you have a mitzvah?
a bar mitzvah?
Yeah.
Yes, I did. The age
Did
of
you have a
13.
blowout?
Yeah.
Because I used to film. I used
Parties.
to film them
Yeah.
like for years, and I would say to people, I'd be like, mitzvahs are bigger than most weddings.
Dude, they were
Like, it's absurd how much money gets
It is.
thrown into
Well,
it.
a lot of people today, they'll do the whole bar mitzvah party thing with the whole family.
Yeah.
Back then it was mixed. So my bar mitzvah party was just with my friends.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, my mom and my dad, they would do separate things. They had like luncheons. But it was something really simple, like get a deli platter, go to
Yeah.
someone's house.
Yeah.
Not like today where you're dressed up in the whole thing.
There's
yeah,
themes.
there's a DJ
Dude, there's an
and-
underwater theme with like 5 backup dancers, and like there's a surfing.
Oh, yeah.
Like there one time I went to one, they had like the whole theme was like under the sea or something, and they had a surfing thing set up. Have you seen those like they're like bouncy things, but they have like a surfboard.
Yeah.
And you can ride them.
Yep, I've seen
and like
What?
Yeah, it was, and his
Okay.
whole thing was set up like a carnival. So you went to all these little game stations and stuff, and I was like, wow, man, this is crazy and over the top. but cool for him.
Yeah.
So you wanted a 21-year-old blowout.
Yeah, which I didn't have. I was
Yeah.
I was 2 years clean at the time.
Yeah.
But but that was my only. And when I share with my friends about my reservation, so my 21st birthday, they showed up for my birthday.
That's good.
Yeah, which was great because they knew about. I put it out there.
Yeah.
Just my close friends. They showed up. They were like, "We're here for you," and actually it was great. But I never resented the fact that I never had a legal drink. And actually, I just hey, just let you know, never had a legal drink.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, and people were like, "Wow,
Yeah.
you are freaking old," and we're like, "You got clean super young."
Yeah.
But no, I never felt like that at all because I guess for me, I always had everything at my fingertips. Mm-hmm. You know,
Yeah.
it wasn't like that at all. Not on a reservation like that at all per se. Yeah. Great question.
Since you are, the age of the dinosaurs in the rooms, and you did pre-step working guide. So
Yes.
Ooh,
Yes.
blue
So
book.
Great
how
question.
how have the rooms changed in general, but also have you done step work like in the book and out of the book?
Yes.
Okay, so go through just like how the rooms have changed in how forever
37
Yeah.
years.
and 37 years.
How much time do we have?
And how step work changed from one
Yeah.
way to the other.
That's great. So the rooms have changed in the years many different ways.
Yeah.
You have to remember in Baltimore, Maryland, NA started like 81, 82, and I came in 87, so it's still brand new. So when I came in, the people with the most time was what, 5-6 years at most.
Yeah.
So I can't even fathom someone coming in the rooms today and have seen someone with 30 some years.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Also, people were more close together. So people everyone knew everyone, and I think
Meeting size.
meeting
definitely.
size. Well, not me, but meetings. Period. Like there was the one meeting on Tuesday, people would go, and everyone knew everybody. But my thing is how they've changed today. I think there are so many of us we're falling through the cracks, and that's very scary.
Yeah.
And I think people don't reach out as much as they used to.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
true.
And it's scary. So what I do, my part is I reach out as much as I can. At my home group, I like to be the greeter.
Yeah.
It's a position, but I just do it.
That was made for you.
Yeah, I love welcoming people. Someone even said to me, "Howard, you have like 37 years. Why are you doing this?" I'm like, because I have 37 years.
Yeah.
And I want to do this.
Yes.
And it's another way for me to stay plugged in. But also, back then people say, work the steps or die, motherfucker.
Yeah.
But now they say work the steps and live, which is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
That's more positive, right?
Yeah, and I think it is, and I think also
Slightly,
it
yes.
is a little bit, but I think more people actually today are more knowledgeable, rather than back then when they said to me, "Oh, that's breaking traditions." And now people can talk to me rather than at me. But there's so many positive, negative. But when I think about when I went to meetings, it was amazing. Because, like I said, everyone knew everybody.
Yeah.
And the marathon meetings were great during the holiday season.
Oh yeah.
And people go out more afterwards. People don't do that as much as they used to. And I think also when COVID came, it also really hurt us.
Yeah.
But there's positive and negatives on both sides. So where I am today with it is like I said, I go to a lot of meetings. I reach out to a lot of people. I like to talk and I like to get my numbers out. But don't get me wrong. In the beginning, when I had like 2.5, 3 years clean, I had this core people, and I personally wasn't reaching out like I used to.
Yeah.
And because I was pushing people away, like, no, this is my group.
Yeah.
But then what happened to me was one by one, people in my group were leaving, and then I was alone in the rooms. So I had to learn how to reach out, and then I started going down that road again, and then I just started doing my thing. But I don't know. I think a lot of things have changed. I think overall for the better. I think just the fearful thing is there's so many of us today, we fall through the cracks. And I think it's very important that if you see somebody that's new or sitting alone, go up and talk to them. And I do that all the time.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important just to have that connection.
Yeah.
So step work. So I was out of the original. I'm doing it out of the basic blue text 3rd edition, where you only write on 4 and 8 and pray about the rest.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's how my sponsor did it and their sponsor did it.
That sounds wonderful.
That sounds like
Wait, did you work 4 out of the pamphlet, or did
No,
you work it?
there was no pamphlet.
There wasn't a
before
pamphlet.
The pamphlet came out right after I finished 4.
that. Okay.
Yeah, so how I worked 4 was, and there's 2 paragraphs in the basic text, one on liabilities and one on assets. So the liabilities listed everything, and I defined them, and I put them how I would work, how I applied them, or not applied them, but how they affected my life. And the assets, I would define them and how it affected my life.
Yeah.
And that was the guidance I got for my fourth step. But and the eighth step, you wrote it. So we prayed about the rest, which was okay. And also back then, like, it was really strange. Not strange, but after I did my fourth step and I did a fifth with my sponsor, he goes, okay. And next you know, this is where we burn it. I'm like,
Oh
all right.
no!
Yes.
Fuck that, dude.
Yeah.
No way.
Because his thing was that was
That
taught
was
by his
the old.
sponsor.
That was the old AA
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. It was like you like burn it and then it goes up to God. So, but then today, when you're working on a step working guide, you work your 6 off your 4th. And I'm going, all right. So after I worked all 12 steps out of the basic text, the step working guide came out many years later.
In the mid 90s.
Yeah, actually, even before that.
The step working guide.
No, I'm sorry. When the step working guide came out, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. Let me see. I've had my sponsor for 20 years.
Wow.
2007, but the step working guide, I would say probably late 90s. I don't
Yeah.
know. We have to get a copyright copy
Yeah.
out of that.
Google it, Eric.
Yeah.
When did the step working guide come out?
So I got a sponsor that actually worked the step working guide, and he's still my sponsor today. So I worked it twice with him out step working guide. So that's 3 times total. But then after that, his sponsor warned him about me. He said, Howard's going to make you work. Bottom line. And so after working 3 times, he actually found a list of questions called Back to Basics, where it gave you questions on the paragraphs in each step and the inventory questions on each step. So I did all that.
Yeah.
So that's me working the steps 4 times, and now he's got me working out of the traditions.
Nice.
Yeah, which is really cool, actually. And I have to be honest with you, and I heard traditions, I was like, ugh, you want me to what?
Yeah.
I was like, ugh. But actually, by working it, I feel like I've become a better person and how to talk to people better.
Yeah.
And and a more even keel, a more even note, and don't belittle them when I talk to them.
Yeah.
About how, listen, according to this tradition, that we can't do this or we can do this.
Yeah.
Kind of a deal. Rather than it's breaking it. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's not.
Yeah.
So I learned how to talk to people. In NA, they have the guiding principles where they have split off in 3 sections: member, group, and service. He's got me working all 3.
Nice.
Which at first I said no, but then I said nice.
Yeah.
But it's wonderful. So step work has now some people still do it out of the basic text.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I was like, if you're going to work step work, just don't do it alone.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how to do it, and go do the guidance of your sponsor. Even though the 5th step mentions another human being, doesn't have to be your sponsor.
Yeah.
Does not. But just don't do it alone.
Yep.
And I find that's the best suggestion I can give to anybody at all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, David, the copyright listed on the step working guide lists
1998.
the dates of 1983 to 2008. The 2008 edition is considered the revised and updated edition.
Okay.
Okay. So
They didn't give
When
me an
did it
answer.
first
It
come
did
out?
not give you an answer at all. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
From what it's saying, it came out likely in the late 80s and was just being revised like internally.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Until they actually do like an official version in 2008.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
That makes
Fair
sense.
enough.
That's
All
my
right.
likely
enough.
guess.
All right, Eric, what you got?
We'll
This
take
is my last question.
Final question.
And is relevant to both probably myself and David at the time. But you mentioned that you brought your kids to meetings.
Yes.
And I have a very...
Call him out. What? How's that?
How is that relevant to me?
I didn't say it was relevant to you.
Yes, you did.
I know. I said
You
did
said
I say-
Carly.
David and me.
I said David and me.
No.
You said Carly, David, and me.
That must have just been a Freudian slip. I'm sorry.
Wait, why did you get offended from it? Why did you get offended?
She is
I
not
don't-
with child.
I am not with child and don't have children.
Also, I
Apologies.
love saying it that way. Just being like, are you with child?
Freudian slip.
I have
Carly.
dogs.
Yes, you have dogs.
But I mean, you were. I don't
Okay,
know.
get to your question.
Continue.
Oh,
No,
continuing.
continue.
We're continuing. So, I've always had a weird rule for myself personally with this, and it's probably my waspy like upbringing of like, very similar to like yours of like, don't talk about it. Where it's like I don't think I'd bring my child to a meeting.
Right.
And I don't know how David feels about that, but that's how I personally feel. Like me and my wife would work it out, and there would never be a time where like my child would
called
go
it.
there. What did you bet this?
No, continue.
Oh, how's navigating that? Like with having kids and bringing them to meetings, because it's not that I don't want my child exposed. Like, I'm going to be very open and honest with my kids about drugs and alcohol and like all that stuff. Right. It's more of, it feels like sometimes it can be glamorous, and like people do not have filters in meetings. Like, like you can hear the worst type of shit in a meeting or in the parking lot. So, like, how was that navigating and bringing kids into a meeting and knowing that it's a mature space?
Excellent question. So, in the beginning, when I started bringing my kids to meetings, I would hook them up with an iPod, whatever, so they can watch movies and listen to music. And they'd be in the hallway. And the thing is, I had to worry about my recovery because my wife was actually going to school.
Yeah.
Now, in the beginning, when they were really super small, my wife and I were alternate nights. So we did that. So she would hit 3 meetings a week, and I would hit 3 meetings a week. But when the kids got older, and I like really going to get to a meeting, and she was doing school work every night, like I said, I would actually bring them to a meeting, and they would sit in the hallway. But then my son said to me, "Hey, Dad," and he was like maybe 10 years old, "I'd like to listen to a meeting." I'm like, "Okay, sure." So he was in the hallway. Actually, it was at Awana. He was listening. He was in the hallway listening, and my daughter was doing her thing. And on the whole ride home, he had that newcomer high. "Dad, wasn't it great when Jeremy went to go face up his he was making amends for himself, and he was turning himself in, and the warrant for his arrest expired. That was awesome." I'm like, "Who is this person?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Do you have a sponsor? What's going on?"
Yeah.
But no, he was like,
Where's the McDonald's drive-thru right now? What do you want?
But yeah, he was like, he really got into that. So he started listening, and my daughter did the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, there was one time that was really bad. And this person shared in a meeting, and this person was dropping the F-bombs every other word, was saying a lot of negative stuff, a lot of stuff that was, in my personal opinion, just inappropriate. You know,
It was a mess,
saying
not
the
a
word,
message.
she was saying the word, I was after the man's dick and all. You know, she was, and after the meeting, it was just my son with me that night. After the meeting, we walked outside, and
He
there was
said nothing on that drive home.
Well, actually, here's what happened. It was a few of the people at that meeting came outside with us after the meeting, and they asked my son, "Hey, are you okay what was said in here?" And my son said, and I am not kidding, he goes, "You know something? She's just going through a lot of anger right now."
Whoa!
10 years old. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I was it was just like, it was like more of an understanding.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, it's not like she's going through
At
a lot
10?
of stuff. Yeah. So
That's like an old soul sort of thing right there.
He is. But I think both my kids are, which are great. But I was, and from that night, I was actually going, I need to like start working again. Maybe not going as many meetings, staying home. But I evened it out, and I talked to my kids about it, and they were, the worst thing they did not like about meetings were people walking through the smoke outside after a meeting. That was the most negative thing. I'm like, they were like, "Dad, we don't like the smoke part." I'm like, "Okay, we'll just walk on through, hold your breath."
Yep.
And that was it. But outside of that,
We don't like the smoke.
they were cool. But they got their knowledge about what could happen in the rooms, right? And they knew about my wife and I due to the fact that I shared with them.
Yeah.
But they know what happens, and they've actually established some relationships in the rooms, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And they know about NA if they ever go down that road, but I really don't see them going. They're so lightweights.
Yeah.
But I mean, if anything, they'll go to therapy for other reasons. But that's besides the point. But everyone
I
has
don't understand why my dad is so happy all the time.
I mean, everyone has their opinion. Some people are like, "I'm never going to take my kids to me," and they're like, "I don't blame you."
Yeah.
at
No,
all.
no,
I mean,
no, yeah.
and like
I don't blame people for taking that. I understand the situation. It's just
like how you navigate.
it's
Yeah.
how do you navigate that?
And I just feel like, I think the support, not just from me, but from the people in the rooms also, was a huge thing. Bring people in. Don't do it by yourself.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. And you get together and you can talk to your kids that way, because it's a new road.
Yeah.
It's a road I never thought I would ever be down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to answer that, Eric. Obviously, my son is 3, so his cognition of the whole scenario. I haven't brought him to a meeting yet. I haven't had to, but I'm not against it because, just like you said, like that, being exposed to a level of emotional intelligence at a younger age, and I think it gives kids a more realistic view of both sides, addiction and recovery, and not just what they're told in school in a DARE program, which I think is a complete failure.
DARE failed us.
It is a complete abject failure, and it's just not realistic. It's just like, just say no, and it's just like, but why? This looks awesome.
I mean, this guy has a Corvette, and he's smoking a cigarette with 2 chicks. Like that other guy's an accountant.
But no, but like I've also seen a lot of successes because these kids are seeing grown men hug each other, and it's not something that they're necessarily exposed to otherwise. And these kids learn that there's somewhere they can go. There's like they're not alone, and there's a place to go. And if a kid is using at 12 or 13, despite seeing that, they still have that opportunity to have an avenue of help. And I think it's a great thing. I don't see it one way or the other, and that I love when parents responsibly bring their kids.
Yes.
When they're running amok, I'm like, come on, get a hold of
Well,
it.
you love kids.
Yeah, I love kids in general, but like Sabrina has taken her kids, and just like we know.
But there are the kids that like use it as. I mean, I've babysat kids at meetings before where they're just like, it's like, is anyone going to like pay attention to these 2 kids in the back? Yeah. Like, like there is that sort of responsibility of like. Yeah.
The onus is on the parents to do it in a respectful and responsible manner. But when they do, I think it's a win-win situation.
Yep. I agree.
All right. My final question. You've got to be one of the happiest people I've ever met in Narcotics Anonymous.
Thanks.
I've known you for a decade now, and you're always this happy. You're always this bubbly. So after 37 years of recovery, how do you keep gratitude and happiness at the forefront and exude it on a daily basis?
Happy wife, happy life.
Oh yeah, that's true.
She said she was going to listen to this. That's why.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, I had to throw that out there.
But I grew up in a household, and I was growing up my whole life miserable, and it was exhausting. Yeah, it was exhausting, and I think the first thing and foremost is I had to confront a lot of stuff. Yeah. In the happiness of it all. Not in happiness, but in the craziness of it all. And I think bottom line is through step work actually has helped me become the person who I am. Also letting things go. Yeah. It's so much work to hold on to that stuff. Yep. And it's miserable, and I feel exhausted at the end of the day, or even at the end of the week, or end of the month. I mean, because I was taught those tools early on. Hold on to it. Hold on to it. But it's about letting it go, doing the step work, and also I've actually I look at my accomplishments in my life. I went back to school, got a degree, and I took a risk. Yeah. So when I take those risks, those risks that actually, I'm not talking about taking risks. Let's see if I can go to a bar and like
calculated risk.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel good. And the thing is, if I took I would regret it if I didn't take the risk of going back to school, of actually taking the risk of falling in love, to take the risk of having children, all that stuff, and have a career that I have, and the friendships that I have. Yeah. Pulling in, I feel very happy, and I think it also is because I surround myself with people that are about what I'm about. And I find that to be very important. I might have some people in my life that actually get depressed once in a while or something like that, and that's okay. Yeah. I can be there for them, but I love people. Yeah. I really do. I love going out there and like hugging people and talking to them and see what's going on, and I share what's going on with me and see what's going on with that, but it's fantastic. I never thought I would be here. Yeah. And also I'm very happy. Maybe it's a bad thing, but I compare myself like to my family who they're not the happiest. Yeah. And I see myself, if I didn't have the program of where I am today, I see myself where I would be. Gossiping, being very negative, holding on to the resentments, yelling at the top of their lungs, being talked at rather than talked to. Yeah. And they're in my life for the reason of where I am today, which is much happier, which I love being around people, like I said. And I'm very grateful. Oh, my gosh. I am so grateful for the blessings that I have in my life. I consider myself very lucky for my relationships. Yeah. But it takes work.
Yeah.
It definitely takes
Absolutely.
work, and I don't regret it. That's something else. I used to regret everything all the time.
Yeah.
And I guess it's just that different type of thinking, but I just know for me it takes time to do what I need to do to get to where I am today. I do love the fact that I'm able to continue with this, to actually continue going to meetings and just to show up.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not the kind of person that goes there and preaches anything. Someone said to me, well, how do you share a good message? I said, just be honest.
Yeah.
That's all. You don't have to quote anything out of the book. And, you know, for me, I'm very simple. I sit down and I talk.
Yeah.
And I talk about me. And it feels refreshing. And also, it's about also just, I love giving back. I do. I have an H&I commitment.
Yeah.
You know, and I never thought I didn't think I was worthy of it. Because I'd never been to treatment or jail or anything like that, or arrested. And they were like, well, Howard, you have the bandwidth.
Yeah.
Do it. I'm like, and I've been doing it for 4 years now, which is awesome. But that's, I just love my life.
Yeah.
I never thought I would, and I love looking myself in the mirror, and I actually love myself today. And I never thought I would be here. So things are cool. Thanks.
All right. Awesome job, man. So we would like to thank our guest Howard for joining us today.
Yay!
Thank you.
Absolutely, man. Great job. One last quick minute talking to anybody out there struggling, needs to hear a message of hope. What do you have to say directly to them?
Yeah. You never have to do this alone. Always ask for help, and that's the biggest hurdle I found for me, was always asking for help. And get help anywhere you can.
Yep.
From people that you trust, or even, you know, people you don't trust. I'm sure there's a lot of 1-800 numbers out there that people can help.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and don't feel you have to do this ever alone. And, you know, if you ever see me in a meeting somewhere, please come up and say hi.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very receptive, and I like to talk to people, and I'm always looking to expand my network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're ever in Western Maryland and you see the smiliest dude in the meeting, that's probably Howard. Just be like, are you that guy from? Yes, I am. I'm
The guy who's old and looks young. That's me.
Yeah. There you go. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us once again. Wow. Total,
Did you just blank
my
there, buddy?
Yeah, my brain
Hurry it
crashed.
up.
Train crashed. Thank you for joining us. Go to all our social media outlets: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. Please become part of the Patreon, because we need help keeping the mics on, as we are self-supporting. But most importantly, everybody out there,
Stay safe and stay clean.